All right, all right. Good morning again. I started recording the class and we are about to start. This is the 5th week of the semester and we are closing unit number 1, which was about strategies for effective communication. And with those, we're going to close that unit talking just about vocabulary. You had an activity that was a very short activity that talked about industrial engineering vocabulary, but very general. It was referred, of course, to the Industrial Revolution, and a few words were there, a few words that are very common that might sound common for someone that works actually as a professional, but if you are not so related yet, maybe you didn't know those words. And that's why you had that assignment, that activity that was about, hey, get to know a little more vocabulary. And it was very simple. You were asked to just use a dictionary, English. You could use just the internet to ask for the definition. And the main idea, the main purpose for that was that you get involved with the use of the vocabulary a little more. And that's actually what we're going to do today. Today, we are just going to cover vocabulary with examples, of course. We have to go back to the simple basic English where you have to build up a sentence. And the sentence, if you remember a simple sentence, you have to have a noun, which might be the subject or not, a verb, of course, because it's the subject and the action, the subject and the predicate. That's the same thing as it is for any language. It was used for Spanish and it's also used for English. You have to have a complete sentence when you want to speak and when you want to give the idea about a certain topic that you are referring to. So with that said, like I'm mentioning right now, we're going to cover vocabulary today. Vocabulary, and specifically, we are going to cover the manufacturing and simple, very common, the industry vocabulary. So by now, Zoom is telling me that you are supposed to be able to see sharing my computer screen. I'm sharing some visual aids from a PowerPoint file that I'm projecting to you right now. And I called it that way, manufacturing and industry vocabulary, just that way. If you take a look at the descriptive letter for this class, it's at the end of the unit, and it says that we were going to cover this type of vocabulary and that we were going to do some assignments, exercises for you to practice this type of vocabulary. It's kind of going to be very simple, but like I said, it's going to remind you the way that you had some classes, some English courses before. Because the assignment that I'm going to just open to you, it will be from one of the books for industrial engineering vocabulary. So I chose one of the units from those books, and I'm going to ask you to complete the assignment so that you can practice a little bit with that. And today with this presentation, I'm going to be showing you a few words, their definition, and a few examples. And for this, I'm going to ask you to go fast in your notes, take notes, because the only way that you can learn about vocabulary is about practicing it. And one of the easiest way to practice vocabulary is writing it down. So I'm asking you to keep a pencil or a pen next to you and some notebook next to you so you can use some writing. I'm gonna go fast. I'm not gonna give you extra time because you do have this PowerPoint on Canvas, on your Canvas session for this class. It's been uploaded. So you have it there and you can write it down and keep practicing a little more. But I'm advising you to do some notes right now. All right. So let's start. And so the outline for this class will just be about that. Like I said, we're going to cover some vocabulary and we're going to use some example sentences for this vocabulary. And that's it. So very simple. Let's see. We go and we're going to start with the first one. I have 3 words here. Some of the slides I put 2 words. Some of them have 3 and some of them have 4. Just very few of them I included 4 just because it's too many. And when I open up the examples, you're going to see like, oh, there's a lot of information at the same time. So let's see. First of all, let's see the definition of them. And I have 3 different words here. The first one is about expert, or the other use is about the expertise. What does it mean to be an expert or to have expertise in something? Well, that will be a person who knows a lot. Oh, I'm not supposed to be showing this yet. So let me go back because it's going to cover too much of the screen. So it's a person who knows a lot about something. That's an expert. That's easy because it's so common and so similar to the ones in Spanish. So guess what? Most of the technical vocabulary in English is very similar as a cognate from Spanish. Why is that? Because they do have the same roots in the word. And I have good news for you in terms of vocabulary. We're going to have the following weeks from unit number 2. There's going to be the study about the roots of the words, so that you can learn a little more about words and how to understand the words even without using a dictionary. The best advice that I can give you to understand the meaning of words is about getting to know the context. Look around. If you have pictures, try to understand by the pictures. If you have more text, try to understand about the text. That's what we call understand by the context. But the good news is that most of these words, most of this vocabulary, I'm saying the majority, not every word, just the majority. The majority of these words are related to the Spanish words because they come from the same roots, raíces de la palabra. Since they come from the same roots, the meaning is the same. The only difference is the prefixes and the suffixes. So if I'm talking about roots and prefixes and suffixes, then you can understand the meaning of the majority of the word. And that's what we're going to cover in the following weeks. We are going to take a look at this. It's actually fun. It's a different way to take a look at vocabulary, a different way of what you have been used to, because we are going to learn a little more about those prefixes and suffixes. But okay, let me just clear this thing. If you take a look at the root, expert, es experto, is the same because it has the same root as in Spanish. Expert, a person who knows a lot about something. Relevant, and I decided to include this picture over here when it talks about the relevance of something. And there are questions to get you into the understanding of what the meaning of relevant is. Does it fulfill the needs? Does it solve their problems? Does it resonate with them? Does it bring them closer to their goals, etc.? So you can take a look at about different questions to try to understand what the meaning of the word is. But yes, I included the definition of this word here. I know. It says, relevant means connected with what is happening. And it could also mean important and useful. So that's for relevant. Let's take a look at the next word, and then we're going to take a look at the example. Layout. I love this word. Layout. For those of you who have experience working already, you have heard this word and it's used in English. even if you're speaking in Spanish. When you go especially to the manufacturing area, and that's what we're covering, manufacturing vocabulary today. When you go and work for a manufacturing company, they're going to tell you the layout. But what is the layout? I'm using a picture here to show you what the actual layout means. Take a look at the picture on top on your left side of the screen. What is that? You see that there is a space. So layout might be related to a space, but also the space is being divided. And there is very clear what the space is being used for. So a layout, it's talking about the distribution of the space. I have good news for you also. When you go for next semester, there is one of the classes, one of the courses that you're going to be taking. It's going to talk a lot about the layout. You're going to learn as an industrial engineer, you must learn about how to distribute a plant or a company. Yeah, it's actually called that way, distribution of plants, the way that you are going to be taught next semester. And another good news, a lot of the projects that people doing their internships, their professional practices as finishing their studies, but not being an engineer yet, before you graduate, you know that there is a requirement here at this university that in order for you to graduate, you have to go and get inside a company and do some practices, right? So that's what it's called, the internship. So most of the internships, I'm telling you, the majority of them, they have to cover about the layout. They need to see the distribution of the plant. So good news, you are going to learn the vocabulary, but you're going to be using it. It doesn't matter if they speak Spanish. They do have to use these words in English. So that's the thing. English is a very, very, very powerful tool for you, for me, for everyone. We do use this vocabulary. Most of this vocabulary that I'm showing you today, it's used mixed as a mixture with Spanish. When you go to Spanish speakers, they even use it like this. I do hear, sometimes I do hear the pronunciation as if you were reading it like in Spanish, but you can help them a little bit. Like, for example, I have heard people referring to fixture as fixtura. Trying to mix something like in between the English and Spanish, but at least they're trying, okay? So yeah, this is for expert, relevant layout, the schematic arrangement of parts or areas. I think that they're very easy to understand, but the thing with vocabulary is that you need to know how to use it, because just a word with the meaning doesn't give you much. You need to understand how to use them, how to use that word in a normal dialogue. Or if you have to write something, how do you use those words? How do you communicate with the other person or the other people around the company when you need to use these words? How do you use them? That's why we get the examples. Get ready. We have the first ones here. For expert or expertise. Let's see. I have a few examples here. I don't know that we have the expertise here to repair it at this time. What does it tell you? Oh, that person didn't know that there is another person who is an expert in that type of repairment, maintenance. So that's a way to use the word. I don't know that we have the expertise here to repair it at this time. Awesome. Another example. I will not recommend quickly chopping vegetables unless you have expertise with a knife. Why? You need expertise because you can cut your fingers, you can cut your hands. We're talking about the use of a knife. Being expert or expertise will be referred, yes, to know a lot about something, but in professional life, it's to know a lot about something specific, something that you need to be kind of like a technician into it. Another example, I am working on achieving expertise in mathematics so that I can become a teacher. Huh? You want to be a professor, you want to be a teacher, you want to go and work in as that in science, explaining to some other people, you need to be an expertise. You need to have expertise. You need to be an expert. When moving to another country, it is important to have expertise in the most common language. Of course. I mean, it would be very hard for you to just go to France if you don't know French, because you don't have the expertise in French. Do you understand? But then you can say, but everybody speaks English. You got the point. You need to have expertise in English if you want to move around the world, but not just the world. Here in Mexico, you want to move around as a professional, you better have expertise in the English language. Remember those words. For those of you like Luis Roman, if you are already in Hermosillo, I will recommend to you start taking an advanced English course. I'm recommending that to you because you are close by to the places where you can get a little more experience into the language, and then you can get more expertise for that. There is a recommendation. I would like to show my expertise in painting during the school talent show. That's another way to use the word. See? Expertise. Or you talk about an expert. Let's see examples of a relevant. All these things are the same today as they were in Shakespeare's time. And because of that, his stories are still very relevant to us. Very relevant, very important. Another example, economic studies should be as relevant to existing needs as those of engineering and other applied sciences. That's what people in economics say. But let me tell you that with experience, with expertise in life, which I have a little more than you do, it's truth. Everyone, we should have studies in economics. It's important because once you finish, then you start earning money, you spend money, but you don't know what to do with it. So it should be relevant for every study. What I'm recommending to you is start reading about it, get some books and get the expertise that you need on that. Another example, the owner tried to find some toys that would be relevant to the dog's interest. Toys that could be relevant to the dog. Okay. Another example, the class could pick any relevant topics to do their essays on. Free topic. Just pick up a relevant one. That's the example. And the one that I'm very interested in is the examples for layout. Let's see. I put them on top of the other ones. Layout. The site. What does site mean? In order to understand this, you need to understand the words around, but you can also understand, like I'm saying, like I said to you, try to understand by the context. You need to try to stop translating to Spanish, because if you keep telling your brain to translate to Spanish, then your brain is working double and it keeps going back to Spanish and it's not letting you understand and learn the way to use the English language. So the biggest recommendation is stop translating. Try to understand it in English what it is. The site doesn't look very good with the current layout. It's the area. The area doesn't look very good with the current layout. The condo's layout was the same as hers, and she found the bathroom where she expected. Same distribution as her apartment. All users produced designs that were internally coherent with both layout and navigational elements. This is the ultimate plain way for anyone frightened by the complex layout of games. Any gamers here? The layout, the distribution of the space inside the game? Does it sound common to you? Hopefully. So let's see. For the next slides, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be interacting with you. What I want you to do is, as we have done it before in the past, I'm going to be writing and I'm going to take participations, voluntarily participations for the examples. So you can just read and try to understand what the example is going to be telling you. Okay, and like I said, I'm going to be considering your points for that. Okay. All right. Let's see. Next slide. I'm going to read the definitions and then I'm going to ask you to help me read and understand the example. So here I included 4 very simple ones. 4 examples. We have flow. Flow. And I included a picture over here. It's a pipe and it could be a gas or it could be a liquid flowing through it. So the definition of it is a steady, continuous movement of something or somebody. This is the abbreviations for that. Something or somebody, which could be someone also. Somebody. All right. That's flow. And why are we referring to people here? Because you can also talk about the flow of people. When you have so many people walking together at the same time, there is a flow of people. You can have the flow of cars, but those are some things. And inside those cars, of course, you have people. Personnel, very similar to Spanish, personnel. The body of persons or people employed in an organization. Personnel. Does it sound similar to Spanish? Yes, of course, it's a cognate because it has the same roots as Spanish. Personnel. Plant. Very similar as we use it in Spanish. Plant. Factory. The place where you go to work. That's a plant. And it's the most common word to use. Yeah, we have been using this one as the common one, but that would be a little more formal. Factory or company. But there's another word, there's another that it's so used as the same way as plant, and it's called the facility. And it's the same, it's a synonym. The facility, the plant, the factory, the company, you're talking about the same place. But one that is very common to use is the plant. And I included 2 pictures for that. You have one here and you have another one here. The place where you go to work, that's the plant. And running. The management of a business or organization. This one is not the sports. This is about to run the business. It refers to the people in the top direction of the company. And it refers to the action that people on the top direction, the CEO, the managers, what they do to the company, and they run the company, is what we said. They run the company. That's the normal or common term to use. You don't usually take, you don't normally say, oh, they manage the company, because it's understood as it is the same word as saying management. You are not going to say that the manager manages the company. It's too many managers at the same time. But you can say the manager runs the company. Are you understanding that? Hopefully. And for your better understanding, like I said, we're going to listen to you with the examples. Let's hear a few examples for flow. There's 3 examples for flow here. I can hear any from you. Any volunteers for the 3 examples for flow? If you don't volunteer, I'm going to start pointing at you. So you should better volunteer. Anyone? A few seconds. Okay, no volunteers. I'm going to start calling you. Okay, so here I have Elizabeth. Elizabeth, you go first. You need to activate your microphone so that you can start reading those 3 examples of a flow. Elizabeth. Okay, I'm going to start. If you're not participating, then I'm going to start counting as if you're not here. Elizabeth, no. Javier, you're next.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. So you just need to read the 3 examples of flow. Thank you.
The stream flow into the point. Free flow of the information is the only software. Instance train rank. There is a constant flow of traffic on this road.
Thank you. I'm going to reread them again faster and you can hear about the pronunciation. The stream flows into the pond. The flow of information is the only safeguard against tyranny. And there is a constant flow of traffic on this road. 3 different examples, different ways to use for one word, which was flow. In Spanish, it's very similar. It has the same prefix, but it has the different suffix. Flujo. That's what we're talking about. Flow. Personnel. We'll see a few examples. Garrobo Arlet. Thanks, Javier. Arlet, it's your turn.
Okay. He also asked for an brightness department personnel 5. The personnel consisted of 198 office and 9 firemen. Department personnel operate on the basis of mine.
Yes, thank you, Arlene. Hey, remember about the numbers. You almost forgot the numbers over there. You said it 1988, 198. Is not 965, it's 965 men. You just need to remember on how to say them. Okay, I'm going to repeat again all of them. He also asked for and received Byron's department personnel file. The personnel consisted of 198 offices and 965 men. Department personnel operated on the basis of out of sight, out of mind. That's cool. Out of sight, out of mind. All right. Next will be, thanks, Arlette. Sergio Zavala. And you're going to check for the planned examples.
Teacher, repeat, please. The internet is down.
Okay, it's your turn to read those examples for planned. These examples
okay.
over here.
Working in a plan requires learning about different rhythm. The pronunciation is right?
No, rhythm of life.
What different rhythm of life?
Okay.
I cannot believe that our plan system is the best mode by which men way with clothing. The plan hands following him.
And here is this is a challenge for you. Let's see if you can do this one, the last one.
the total value
Yes.
of the plant products in 1905 was
Again with the numbers. You guys are forgetting the numbers pronunciation.
4 millions. 931. How do you say mil?
1,000. 951,000. 1,000. Guys, this is very simple English. Very super basic. And if you're forgetting this, you need to go and practice again. 964. An increase of
An increase of 18.3%.
person.
Percent size.
Person. Since.
Percent.
Since.
1,900.
Okay. Here's the thing. Since we're talking about vocabulary for everyone, dates are said in a different way. You can say this date as 1,905, but the most common and the actual way to say this is 19 separated and then say 1905. And when you have this, a century that is being cut, you say 1900. And you're referring to a date. If you want to say 1900, you said it 1900. Okay? So that's one thing that you need to learn. It's not percent, it's percent. That's a problem for us Spanish speakers, that we have the tendency to pronounce something as the word in Spanish, and that's wrong. But that's why I keep on telling you, you need to start thinking in English. And the only way to start doing that is if you stop translating to Spanish. Just stop it. Let's just hear how you're supposed to pronounce it. Working in a plant requires learning a whole different rhythm of life. Again, we're talking about the plant, the company, the factory. I cannot believe that our plant system is the best mode by which men may get clothing. So that person is talking about the uniforms, the clothes to get when you work in a plant. So he's talking, like I'm telling you, about the uniform. The plant hands followed him. Like everyone helps him. That's the meaning of it. And the last, like I said, this was a challenge because it included a lot of numbers. The total value of the plant product in 1905 or 1905, which is the same way to say it. The total value of the plant product in 1905 was $4,951,964, an increase of 82.3% since 1900. Practice that one, okay? Everyone, write it down and keep on reading it. The only way to learn it, it's about practicing. And next one for running. We'll see who's next in line. After him was Jose Eduardo. Sergio, thank you, Sergio.
This left the running of the business to the other three. One mother connected with this running sometimes worried Nicholas. and that was his quick temper together with his whole user
Yes.
habit of marking free use of this feast. Jonathan had band practice while his friends and Alex was in his
Recliner.
no sé, reading a letter from recliner, reading a letter from a Wilfrey
Wildlife.
running
Wildlife.
area in Colorado.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Jose Eduardo. This left the running of the business to the other three. The other people in the management, they were, or they had to be doing it. One matter connected with his running sometimes worried Nicholas, and that was his quick temper, together with his all-user habit of making free use of his fists. What does it mean? That Nicholas was a person who liked to fight. It's a very conflicted person. And his way of running, his way of management, it was that way. A very bad boss. Really very bad. Jonathan had band practice with his friends, and Alex was in his recliner, reading a letter from a wildlife running area in Colorado. Alex was reading about how to manage a wildlife area. Nice, isn't it? A very different use of how to run something. It's not a plant, it's actually the environment. It's probably about some forests in Colorado. Okay, thanks, Jose Eduardo. All right, next. We'll check on these 3 different words and then we'll check on the examples. Raw material. I decided to use a picture over there so that you could understand a little better. Here, just raw material that you need for your product, but you haven't used it yet. So that's raw material, unprocessed material of any kind. Component, a constituent element. And I used an example here. You cannot see it with that color. The component, a part of something. Deployment, putting tools in a position where they can be used. A distribution of things. It's not like the layout. The layout is for the whole plant or for a big space. The deployment is for the arrangement of a few tools or some things close by so you can use them later on. That's the deployment. And we'll listen to the examples so that we can learn a little more about this with the examples, of course. Let's see who comes next in the list over here. I'm just going to check who's in here. Cecilia, you're next on reading. Cecilia, there's only 2 examples. Wheat.
Wheat is raw material for the flour mill. But the world's largest make of business is short. The result of lying, manufacturing, and raw material shortage.
Good, thank you. Good, Ceci. So it says here, wheat is a raw material for the flour mill. And I'm going to tell you, wheat is the raw material. And once you get the flour, you can get tortillas. But you need wheat as the raw material. And then a very different example on how to use the raw material. And an example, this is from 2021, from this year. Something that is happening with vaccines. But the world's largest maker of vaccines is short of shots. The result of lagging manufacturing and raw material shortages. problem of not having enough vaccines is because you don't have enough raw material. Very important example nowadays in 2021. And it has happened. It's been happening because the demand, there is so many people, it's a big population around the world who is demanding the shots of the vaccine, but there is not enough raw materials to satisfy the demand at the same time. So people need to wait because of the shortages of the raw material. See the way that you use the word? Thanks, Ceci. Thank you. Let's see who's next in line here. Yvonne. You're gonna go next with the examples of component. Let me open up the examples. There you go.
The funding varies greatly in size and number of these component sets. Certain that labor component of assembling the Mercedes could fall to nearly zero. Being a component of bronze.
Bronze.
It was bronze. It was used as metal thousands of years prior than dawn of history. But it does not follow that prehistoric bronzes were made from metallic tin.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks very much. Yeah, actually I could understand by the pronunciation. The problem is that sometimes it's kind of like strong, and all of you have been doing this. When you see a word that looks like Spanish, then you pronounce it like Spanish. Like when you saw the word Mercedes, you said like, Mercedes. And it's like, hey, wait, hold on a second. This is English. Mercedes. Keep it a little softer in your mouth. Instead of saying Mercedes, say Mercedes. It's a little different. Just a little different. That's for everyone. I'm just taking the example right now from Yvonne. Very good. The funnel varies greatly in size and number of its component cells. Certainly, the labor component of assembling the Mercedes could fall to nearly zero. Being a component of bronze, it was used as a metal thousands of years prior to the dawn of history, but it does not follow that prehistoric bronzes were made from metallic tin. He's just talking about the alloy for making bronze and as a component. And thanks, Yvonne. Next will be for deployment. I have a few examples here, and I'm going to look up who's next after Yvonne. And so that was Cristobal Glass. You go next.
Deployment. A pilot.
Deployment.
A pilot's deployment of a parachute after ejecting from the cockpit. These components work together to fully deploy the airbag within 50 milliseconds of impact. After deployment, the airbag will deflate in approximately 100 milliseconds.
Yeah, good, really good. A pilot's deployment of a parachute after ejecting from the cockpit. You see, what we talk about deployment, you have really closed different things or tools. And so a parachute, what you use to save your life when you jump from an airplane. A pilot's deployment of a parachute after ejecting from the cockpit. These components work together to fully deploy the airbag at the same time within 50 milliseconds of impact. Ooh, wow. After deployment, the airbag will deflate in approximately 100 milliseconds. 100. You see how I pronounce it? You can say it 100, or you can just say it 100. 100 instead of one. It's the same thing, it's the same meaning, the same understanding. Both are correct. Let's go to the next one. I have 4 here. It's kind of like 3 words, but the last one, the third one, has 2 very different meanings, and both of them, we use them a lot in industry. Rigorous, rigidly accurate, precise, rigorous. Very similar, very same root as in Spanish, rigorous. Excessively, something that is extreme, excessively, extremely. And then monitor, as a verb, is to keep close, watch over, to supervise, direct. That's what I'm showing you in the second picture. If you see the picture that you have on your left, you're checking that there is 2 women that are monitoring what's going on in some place. They are monitoring, but they also have monitors, which are, as a noun, screens. You can see the monitors there, the screen, the computer screens. And also you can call a TV screen a monitor, but you can monitor what happens through the screen. Different ways to use the word. Let's see the examples for rigorous. And I'm going to ask right now, let's see who comes next. Ana Karen. You should activate your microphone, Ana Karen.
Yeah, yes.
Good.
Sorry.
That's fine.
After enduring a rigorous application process, 15 students from diverse backgrounds were selected to be a part of the 4-year programs in our class. Tori Jackson, people.com.
.com. You can skip the reference if you want. You can just skip the reference and go to the next one.
Okay.
That's fine.
Drugs, medical device, and biology, including Pfizer's coronavirus.
Coronavirus, that's in English.
Vaccine.
Yes.
Undergo a rigorous clinical testing process, while most other products regulated by the FDA do not.
Thank you. Very good. Actually, these sentences are a little more professional. They're written in a very good, nice way. And I understand that might be hard to read. Most of the pronunciation is good. Most of it is really very good. I just need to remind you something. When you're reading, because that's why I asked you to skip the source. Instead of you reading Dory Jackson, which is the author of this, people.com. I heard that you said period. But when you're talking about an address or an internet address, it's .com. Like www.unisierra.edu.mx. Did you hear how I say it? It's dot. When you finish a sentence, for example, if I put a period over there at the end, it's a period. It's not a point. A point will be about making a point of something. So this is period apart, or you can have period followed. So like I'm telling you, this is a dot. Okay, so it's people.com. Dory Jackson from people.com, 31st of August, 2021. Nice. So I'm gonna read it again, just for you to read at the same time as I do and to see about your understanding of the pronunciation. After enduring a rigorous application process, 15 students from diverse backgrounds were selected to be a part of the 4-year program's inaugural class. Dory Jackson, people.com, 31st of August, 2021. Drugs, medical devices, and biologics, including Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine, undergo a rigorous clinical testing process, while most other products regulated by the FDA do not. Daniel Funk, USA Today, 27th of August, 2021. I just wanted to tell you who the FDA are. The FDA is the agency in the United States. They do the same work as what COFEPRIS does here in Mexico. So they are the ones who give the authorization for the vaccines in the United States. And here in Mexico is COFEPRIS, right? I just wanted to let you know about that. Because these examples are from United States, from the neighbor country. And next one will be, let me see who's here. So Ana Karen just finished, Cecilia just participated, Jose Eduardo too. Raquel, you going first. You going next. Raquel.
For the math part, it is exact. ¿Cómo se pronuncia?
No. How do you pronounce?
How do you pronounce?
Okay, excessively. Excessively. Yes.
Dry and barren. The climate of the district is liable to extremes, being very cold in the winter and
Excessively?
excessively hot in the summer. I was still excessively scrupulous about everything I wrote. They finished work is excessively trying to the age of the players. How can have most highway to it 2 or 3 hours library diary.
Daily. Okay, thanks, Raquel. A few things, but did you notice you had a hard time saying excessively the first time and the second time and a little less the third time, and by the fourth time you said the word, you said it correctly, excessively. So that's the thing, that's what I keep on telling you, you need to keep practicing, but that's for all of the words. I'm going to repeat again and so you can hear and check at the same time with me and change the pronunciation to what will be more correct. For the most part, it is excessively dry and barren. The climate of the district is liable to extremes, being very cold in the winter and excessively hot in the summer. It was still excessively scrupulous about everything I wrote. The finest work is excessively trying to the eyes of players, who can at most give it to it 2 or 3 hours labor daily. Okay. Good. So let's see who will go next. That will be Luis Roman Diaz. So I'm going to open up the examples for you, Luis Roman, so you can participate. They are on the bottom. Roman.
I mean problems, teacher.
So you cannot.
Has he left the computer monitor? He got sick of a paper beneath it. It's my responsibility to monitor and better them in the mortal world. Ryan said. He turned away from the monitor and searched. I can see that.
Her face again. Yes, good. Thanks, Luis Roman. Most of it, you said it correctly. Some of it, you need to consider how to pronounce it, but that's the common thing that happens. As he lifted the computer monitor, he caught sight of a paper beneath it. It's my responsibility to monitor and deter them in the mortal world, Ryan said. That's talking about something really dramatic and probably just for movies. He turned away from the monitor and searched her face again. Okay, I put the examples over there for that one too. So let's go and see some more. There's a lot of more, so everyone gets to participate. Good. So now, good, turbine. A machine that has a motor with blades driven by pressure. So you have more information here. Okay, Angeles, thank you for letting me know. Angeles just left, she left a message for, actually it was for me, that said I didn't have internet connection. So going back to turbine, a machine that has a motor with blades. What are the blades? These are the components of it. There are different types of turbines, and of course there will be different types of blades. It depends on what kind of flow they're going to take, and in terms of what kind of flow, what is the fluid that is going to go through? Because if it is just air and it is going to be with a direct exposure to the environment, they have to be very, very strong. But for this type of blades, this turbine is actually very carefully designed. This turbine might be the component. I have two different components that I'm going to talk to you about right now. One very complex turbine is for those power plants for a combined cycle where they use water vapor. But it has to be super clean because it's going to flow to a very high speed and it's going to go and crash through the blade. And that's how you get power from a power plant. And that's how we get electricity from those type of turbines. But there's also another very nice and common turbine that comes from, and that takes air also, and that goes for an airplane. Very cool, huh? So this is a very, very nice area for the aerospatial manufacturing. Actually, here in Hermosillo, we do have, there is at least one, there's one company at least that works with blades for a turbine or a,
I think it's Tyco.
well, one of them is Tyco, the other one is,
I know one that's called, it's like a French company that it's called
yes.
Asignatura.
Yeah.
Lettercore.
There's that one, and there's another one that is almost in front of the one that that you just mentioned, Anael. So we just mentioned what, 3 and 4, because next to the one that Anael mentioned, well, it's not next, it's right in front, but it's on the same street. It's one that is called Figueac. And yeah, there's actually 4 that I can count for that in Hermosillo. And that they work for some parts of the airplane, but they do work for the turbine, for some components for the turbine, which is very nice, very cool. And well, hopefully we can go back to normal from this coronavirus pandemic that we have right now, because we used to go and visit those companies. The very last trip that this university had was a trip that I had the pleasure to go with a group, the group of students that right now are working on their internship. Last year on March the 12th, 13, and 14, we went to these companies in Hermosillo, which was very nice. And that was the last time that we were able to visit someplace. But that was not because of the companies, that was because of COVID-19. So yes, Yesenia has another message that she had problems with internet. And like I said at the beginning of this class, we had very serious problem with the internet here at the university. Was the same thing. And I understand this is happening through the region. Okay, so we understood what turbine is. Now we need to talk about device, which is a tool or a piece of equipment. Very simple, a device. Sometimes we use it a lot to refer to these things, a mobile device. My cell phone is a device, but it's not just the cell phone. This tablet is a device. This mouse is also a device. It's a tool. Let's see the examples. Who is next in line here? I'm taking a look at here. So that will be, let me see, Julissa, Miranda. You're gonna go with the examples for turbine. There you go.
Wind turbine costs haven't found dramatical in the last few years, making wind power more competitive. Turbine
hybrid
systems can be used to utilize the energy of the exhaust gases. Letters department producing a more advanced turbine energy that uses an axial flow compressor.
Okay, thanks, Julissa. Thank you. So I'm gonna again read it again, and so you can practice at the same time as I'm doing it, and you can hear some specific pronunciation for it. Wind turbine costs have fallen dramatically in the last few years, making wind power much more competitive. Turbine hybrid systems can be used to utilize the energy of the exhaust gases. Later development produced a more advanced turbine engine that used an axial flow compressor. All right, and who's coming next? I'm seeing the list in here, how people is showing in my computer. So it comes Ángeles. You're going to go for the examples for device. Very simple one. Ángeles.
He hands the device to her. Device to her. The device can track where you are any time. The device is a most effective one. He touched the communicates device to activate it.
Good, thank you. Again, I'm gonna read them again so you can practice with me at the same time. And of course, hopefully you're writing all of the examples down. If not, you can write them later on because you do have these slides on your Canvas session. He handed the device to her. That device can track where you are at any time. It's a tracker. Okay. The device is the most effectual one. He touched the communications device to activate it. Pretty cool, huh? Good. Next will be a few more words. Let's read about them and try to understand them, and then we try to understand them by the examples. So we have coordinate. Coordinate is to organize different people or things so that they work together efficiently. Configure, to design, arrange, set up, or shape with a view to specific applications or uses. Inventory, stock, a detailed list, report, or record of things in one's possession. I believe that these are very easy words to understand because they are really true cognates, very similar, and is the same, totally the same meaning as it is in Spanish. To coordinate, to configure, and the inventory. Okay, so let's see and let's listen to some examples on how to use these three different words. And so I'm going to be calling someone. Emma, you're next in line. Let me open the examples for you. Coordinate, just two examples. Emma.
Coordinate. A plane to evacuate the humans from the hotels. Here are a few ways to coordinate the event.
Very good. Thanks, Emma. Coordinate a plan to evacuate, and it means to evacuate. To evacuate the humans from the hotels. Here are a few ways to coordinate the event. Very simple for coordination. Good. So let me see who's going to go next. And in my line of people here, it should be Luis Peralta.
Yes.
Oh, let me open the examples for you because I haven't opened them. There you go for configure.
Configure. How do I manually configure Outlook 2003 to connect to your Exchange servers? You may configure your internet browser to reject cookies. How do I configure Linux to run headless with a terminal connected to a serial port?
Oh my goodness, very good, Luis. Really good. You have a very strong way of speaking, but that's because of your tone of voice, the way that you speak. But most of it, you said it very good, very, very good.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor.
How do I manually configure Outlook 2003 to connect to your Exchange servers? You may configure your internet browser to reject cookies. How do I configure Linux to run headless with a terminal connected to a serial port? Easy, right? Simple. All right, who is going to go next? After that, we have, let me see on the list. We have Chavez and Fontes. Let's go with Alan. Let's go with Alan first, and then it's going to go Anael. Alan, you have for the inventory.
I held the inventory to make sure. This is sort of an inventory of the stuff that he has asked. Did the inventory check out okay? Are you down here taking inventory or doing a lot of thinking?
Good, good. It's actually good. The only word, it was stuff. Thank you. I held the inventory to make sure. This is sort of an inventory of the stuff. Then he asked, did the inventory shake out okay? Are you down here taking inventory or doing a lot of thinking? That was for someone who was supposed to be working, but not. Okay, really good. So let's go and see some more. There's more. I have very simple ones here. Bill or billing. To present a statement of costs or charges to the total amount of business done in a specific period. That's billing or the bill. And the payroll, that's really something very important. If you work at a company, of course, you need to be on the payroll. The payroll is the total sum of money to be paid out to employees at a given time. And I'm gonna do something that I don't really like, but sometimes I use the words in Spanish because this is not a cognate. This is a different word. So in Spanish will be nómina, is what you pay to all of the employees, the nómina. The payroll. Okay, so let's see the examples. Oh my goodness, I'm throwing away my pen and it's electronic, so I shouldn't do that. Let me see who will participate now. Oh, I said that it was Anael, right? So Anael will go with billing. You go, Anael.
Okay. I suppose you should have been billing him that way all along, if this is where he's been corking the widow. The billing company ordered her to pay and threatened court action against her son if she did not. Find out how much the lawyer you are considering charges by the hour and what his or her billing rate is.
Perfect. As always, never disappoints me. Thank you very much. Very good.
Thank you.
Yes, really, really good. I don't think I should like repeat that, but in terms of practicing, we're going to repeat it so everybody hears it again. So it is, again, I suppose you should have been billing him the way all along, if this is where he's been corking the widow. The billing company ordered her to pay and threaten court action against her son if she did not. Find out how much the lawyer you are considering charges by the hour and what his or her billing rate is. Good. So let's see who's next in line. I gotta go and see who's here. Arlette. Arlette, you already, no, you already participated. You're fine. So then should be Yesenia. If you got internet connection now, Yesenia, it's your turn to read the examples for payroll.
I know they have very good detective on the payroll. ¿Sí me escuchan bien? Sorry.
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me?
I'm sorry. If you maybe they should put on the payroll. I understand you have good people on your payroll.
Okay, most of it very good. Payroll, pay. It's not pie.
Payroll.
Pie is the cake that you eat. Or it could be the symbol, the mathematical symbol of pi. But this is pay.
Okay.
But most of it in terms, it was good. I know they have a very good detective on the payroll. If so, maybe they should put one on the payroll. I understand you have good people on your payroll. It means that you have good people on your company. You're paying them. So they are good workers. Good. All right, let's see a few more examples because there is more. Very easy, simple one, and we use it a lot because well, not me, but you were born in an era that you are used to just use computers, and intranet is one of the words that you should be used to. Intranet is the computing and internal network that makes use of internet technology. Very simple one, intranet. And that's what the picture that I'm showing there is referred to, because it's a network, but it's for inside the place. Convert, very simple one. It's a cognate with Spanish, and because it has the same roots, to change something into another form, substance, state, or product. Oh my goodness, that's a mistake over there. It's not producto. Sorry about that. And to transform, that's about converting something. Oh, I did some mistake over here. Device, to form, plan, or arrange in the mind, design, or contrive. Take a look at this because we checked on a different word before. We talk about device with Z, and this device is with S. They are pronounced the same way. The difference here, it has to be in the context of what you're speaking of. So you need to be careful on not use them the same way because they are two very different words. Device with S is to form, to plan or arrange. Device with C, it's about an object, like the mouse. This is a device for my computer. To devise my classes will be to plan my classes. Very different, okay? So don't use them the same way because they are different words. And let's see, next should be Sarai. I don't know if you have internet right now that you can participate.
Okay. Yes,
Yeah,
I can.
let me open up the examples because you cannot read them if I don't open up. There.
The product spec calls for the way to integrate seamlessly with group 3 facts. Internet, email, intranet,
yes.
Or is Ian or LAN?
Ian email, yes.
Oh, Ian.
LAN. Actually, it was not Ian, it was LAN. Sorry.
LAN.
LAN. It's LAN email.
She helps to manage and deploy the internet system for Warwickshire Police. Matt will be given a plenary tech jointly with Tony Brown or Socrates, building an intranet for the UK Research Council. Starting to implement an intranet is fairly straightforward as long as you have a network capable of supporting TCP IP. He also said the summary guidance concerning the code had not been placed on the permanent intranet.
Really good, fairly good. I know that some of the words were kind of new, and I even make the mistakes telling you Ian. No, it's LAN. But yes, not disappointed. You did really, really good. The product specs calls for a way to integrate seamlessly with group 3 facts, internet email, intranet, or LAN email. She helps to manage and develop the intranet and internet systems for Warwickshire Police. Matt will be giving a plenary talk jointly with Tony Brown on Socrates, building an intranet for the UK Research Council. Starting to implement an intranet is fairly straightforward as long as you have a network capable of supporting TCP IP. He also said that summary guidance concerning the code had now been placed on the departmental intranet. Very good. So next one, I'll give a second chance to Elizabeth because she didn't participate before. Convert, are you there, Elizabeth?
Convert. She is not yet finished on how to convert the malware of different domains. OpenFOO that will convert to shares done on time vector prompting. And it crystallizes from where in layer Rubik crystals which melt of
118 Celsius degrees.
And oxygen and convert into best so they no sé.
Okay. I know. Oh, hey. Remember to say, I don't know how to pronounce this. I don't know English. Okay, so yeah, I know. It was a challenge, Elizabeth, but still I wanted to do this because you guys need to know more vocabulary. So you have seen the examples here are very common examples, but they are professional examples. So there's no more basic English like using sentences like this is the chair, this is my table, this is my mouse. Now those sentences were for English 101 for your first course of English. This is not, remember that this is not a course of English. This is a course of using English, which is a big difference. Okay, so good. Thanks, Elizabeth. You did a good job in terms of there are a lot of new words in this example. Let's take a look at how you're supposed to pronounce them in terms of being able to deliver the information. She'd not yet figured out how to convert their measures of distance to miles. Hopefully, that will convert the chores done on time without prompting. It crystallizes from water in large rhombic crystals, which melt at 118 Celsius degrees. Oxidizing agents converted into benzaldehyde. Okay, good. It's hard, I know, but you can come back and practice later on as many times as you may need to feel more secure or sure when you say these words. Device. So, guess what? I think that everybody already participated. So if I can have, oh, no, wait, there's Javier. No, Javier already participated. If any one of you wants to participate a second time, go ahead. This is voluntarily.
Me.
Yes, that was Arlette, I think.
Vanessa.
Okay,
Oh,
Fata.
Vanessa, you were not, okay, Vanessa, go ahead.
I prefer used apps because allow me to view my old music playlist. With the stuff have been made the debut compatibility machine, but has yet completed used been attainment. The engineer new West project is the view's more efficient water filtering system. The purpose of the meeting is the view and strategy for the company to pay of its debut
Debt. Just something that I got over there. Most of it, you can read it. You just change a word here that we were talking about device. You said the view. That's why we need to take care of the pronunciation a little bit more. So the view and device are not the same, but most of it you did good. Let's practice again with all of these sentences. I prefer to use this app because it allows me to devise my own music playlist. Great efforts have been made to devise cotton picking machines, but as yet, complete success has not been attained. The engineer's newest project is to devise a more efficient water filtration system. The purpose of this meeting is to devise a strategy for our company to pay off its debt. Good. Thanks, Vanessa. And extraction, absorption, evaporation, and some more. There's a few more. Extraction, the process of obtaining something from a mixture or compound by chemical or physical or mechanical means. Extraction, same thing as it is in Spanish. The only difference is the pronunciation, but it is the same root, the same roots for the word. Extraction. Adsorption, same thing, it's a cognate also as in Spanish. Adsorption, the accumulation of gases, liquids on the surface of a solid or liquid. Adsorption is different from absorption. This is adsorption. Evaporation, same thing as in Spanish. To convert or change into vapor. So let's go and see the examples. Let's go ahead and see. Does any one of you wants to read the example?
Me.
Yes, go ahead.
Extraction. The increase in the output for a given time obtained by the using the
Krajewski crusher
has been estimated at 12 to 25% and varies with the quality of the grains. While the yield of extraction is increased by higher 2%.
Actually, there's a mistake there. Is 1 or 2%. But I see the I over there as the same as you. I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
By 1 or 2%. Yeah.
I did excellent service in the hat or gram for the extraction of gases oxidant in metals. I is used in the extraction of sugar from molasses. Since in the combines with the sugar to form a soluble saccharate, which is
Soluble saccharate.
soluble
Saccharate.
which is removed and decomposed by carbon dioxide.
Okay, thanks for taking the challenge, Arlette. This was a hard reading, I know. We just have to keep on practicing. And that's one of the things. If you accept the challenge, eventually it gets even better. So it's really good. Thank you. The increase in the output for a given time obtained by the use of the Krajewski crusher has been estimated at 20 to 25% and varies with the quality of the canes, while the yield of use or extraction is increased by 1 or 2%. It did excellent service in the hands of Graham for the extraction of gases occluded in metal. It is used in the extraction of sugar from molasses since it combines with the sugar to form a soluble saccharate, which is removed and then decomposed by carbon dioxide. Good, nice examples, very hard, but we need to understand by practicing this type of examples. Anyone wants to read the adsorption examples?
Me.
Ceci, go ahead, good.
From the air or gas mixture, adsorption media preferentially absorb components with high boiling points. This section deals with the absorption of gases and vapors through solid absorbed to form adsorbates. We have attempted to understand this is used
these
issues by investigation. Investigated the absorption of a single
copper ion
in different charge states.
Thank you. Yeah, we went to the chemical terms and it's the same as with Arlette. Thanks for accepting the challenge, Ceci. Thanks. Let's see and practice a little more. From the air or gas mixture, adsorption media preferentially adsorb components with high boiling points. This section deals with the adsorption of gases and vapors through solid adsorbents to form adsorbates. We have attempted to address these issues by investigating the adsorption of a single copper ion in different charge states. Good. And anyone wants to volunteer for evaporation? Okay, let me just read them for you then. Try to go slow the first time. I'm gonna read it 2 times. The test tube is tightly corked to prevent evaporation and allowed to stand for some hours. The space between the parts of such substances is too large to admit of capillary action. Hence, the water conveyed to the surface of the soil is prevented from passing upwards any farther except by slow evaporation through the mulching layer. The sugar thus produced by constant stirring and evaporation almost to dryness forms a species of small grained concrete. Okay, I tried to go slow, so I'm gonna go faster the second time. The test tube is tightly corked to prevent evaporation and allowed to stand for some hours. The space between the parts of such substances is too large to admit of capillary action. Hence, the water conveyed to the surface of the soil is prevented from passing upwards and farther except by slow evaporation through the mulching layer. The sugar dust produced by constant stirring and evaporation almost to dryness forms a species of small grain concrete. Okay, so let's see the next one. And since the time is kind of like almost over, I'm just gonna go and read everything, and I hope that you are listening also at the same time as I'm speaking, and hopefully you are listening and also practicing a little bit by speaking. Humidification, to make humid, it's referred to humidity, and that's why I chose to show you those pictures over here that are a humidifier here on the right side, and also a heated humidifier that is a little more complicated, which has the source and the inlet source and the outlet source here that is condensating, but also it's a closed system, as you can see here, different from these commercial humidifiers. I just wanted to show you different ways. And then absorption with B, absorption is different. Remember that is not the same as adsorption. This is to take in. It's the difference with add, with the D, absorption. And emit, to give or send out, emissions. We have been talking about this in Spanish a lot. So these ones are, again, cognates. They have the same roots as the words in Spanish, and you can just understand them by reading them correctly. So let's take a look at some examples. I'm just going to go ahead and read them. For the humidification. Alternatively, there's bypass humidification, which uses the natural airflow of the building's HVAC system to humidify the earth and requires little to no maintenance. This is from Carl Pomeroy from Forbes, published on the 15th of June, 2021. This will humidify your drive and give you a calming effect. From Chris Hackey, BGR, on the 1st of June, 2021. I'm gonna go ahead and read it faster. Alternatively, there's bypass humidification, which uses the natural airflow of the building's HVAC system to humidify the air and requires little to no maintenance. This will humidify your drive and give you a calming effect. All right, and the next example for absorption, I'm gonna go ahead and read it. Mention may be made of the absorption spectrum of benzene. This coloring matter, as shown by its absorption spectrum, picks out of the ordinary beam of light a large proportion of its red and blue rays, together with some of the green and yellow. There is set up at once a certain hydrostatic pressure due to the turgidity which ensues upon such absorption, and the extensible cell wall stretches at first in all directions. So again, a second time, mention may be made of the absorption spectrum of benzene. This coloring matter, as shown by its absorption spectrum, picks out of the ordinary beam of light a large proportion of its red and blue rays, together with some of the green and yellow. There is a setup at once a certain hydrostatic pressure due to the turgidity which ensues upon such absorption, and the extensible cell wall stretches at first in all directions. Last but not least, emit. The examples: bright meteors often emit the bluish white light suggestive of burning magnesium. In the not too distant future, tiny robots will detect pests on produce and emit a signal to show them away. Normal light bulbs emit more red than blue light. I'm going to go ahead a second time, faster, you know the second time goes fast. Bright meteors often emit the bluish white light suggestive of burning magnesium. If the not too distant future, tiny robots will detect pests on produce and emit a signal to show them away. Normal light bulbs emit more red than blue light. And last, I think these are the final ones, is LED or LED, which it means or stands for light emitting diode, an electronic device. And alphanumeric, which means consisting on both letters and numbers. You can see the examples here, the drawings and pictures that I included over here. And the examples go for a alphanumeric. I decided not to include the lead example because that was really an easier understanding for it. So for alphanumeric, until now, there has been an alphanumeric naming scheme, P1, but that is given away to a Greek alphabet naming scheme. And this was published on WSJ, the 11th of June, 2021. And rather, devices have an alphanumeric identifier designed for advertisers. This was written by Byron Tall at the same journal, the WSJ, on the 26th of April of 2021. I'm going to go ahead and read it a second time, fast. Until now, there has been an alphanumeric naming scheme, P1, but that is given away to a Greek alphabet naming scheme. Rather, devices have an alphanumeric identifier designed for advertisers. And that's it. You have a little exercise over here. Since we already ran out of time, I will include that exercise on your homework. You're going to fill in the gaps. It's either convert, absorption, raw material, payroll. You have the options over there. Running, coordinate, emitted. Yes? 7 different options, 7 different sentences that you're going to complete. And that's it. I use these 4 different references for the list of them. I use this publication from F. and Dwakat. It was from 2014. And then I used these dictionaries for the sentences. The Merriam-Webster, and then your dictionary sentences, and many things for the word flow. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you very much for coming to class and for participating today. You are going to have, there is 2 different homeworks. One was this exercise that I just showed you, those 7 different sentences. The plan was to participate here during class, but we already completed the time. And so I'm going to open up another space. And the one that I told you before, there is from a book. I copy a unit from one of the books in engineering, English for engineers or English for industrial engineers. So you're going to have it there and you can participate with that homework, the one from the book, in couples. You can find a different couple or a friend of yours, one of the group, and complete it. Just submit one, and I'm gonna check it for both of you. Okay, understood? The homeworks will be activated once we finish the class, right?
Okay, Professor.
Okay, teacher.
Good. All right. Then see you
Okay.
guys next week. Hopefully we're gonna have a better internet connection next week and we wouldn't have any trouble as today. And just let me know for the attendance. I wrote down all of your names because you participated, but let us just have a second round and write down on the chat, present, I'm here, or something like that. And with that said, I'm going to stop recording and then I will stop this video conference once you finish writing your attendance. All right, I'll say goodbye from this recording.